Alright, class, we're back from the field trip, and we're here. Oh, you didn't know about the field trip? It's totally fine. I'm doing kind of like a two-part video thing here. They kind of correlate with each other, but you don't really have to watch both of them. I mean, you should watch both of them. But if you haven't seen the field trip video of this container thing, kind of storage subject, you can go ahead and watch the other one, but either way, go watch it some other time. But stick around here. We'll just talk about what I picked up at the container store. Otherwise, take a trip on over to the container store with me on the field trip. Should be one of the previous videos, and I'll put a link somewhere on the screen somewhere or in the description below somewhere. So it'll be there somewhere. So we're going to talk about what I got at the container store. Well, you should already know. But going to talk about how I do my organization with my containers. We're going to take about 20-ish hats here that are flat brims, because I use my flat brims for my shoebox storage. Spoiler there for what I got. So we're going to go over how I organize my boxes, my flat brims, and talk a little bit more about organization, boxes, bags, closets, shelves, closet doors, or we'll talk about things here and there regarding organization / storage of hats. So let's get going. Class is in session. We're going to get into how I'm going to organize all these 20-some hats here into the two containers that I got. Oh, hold on. Into these two containers. But for the moment, we're going to talk about how I organize my current hats in the current shoeboxes. Oh, come on. A little bit more here. So, I have my tower of hat boxes here. And this is how I organize them. Oh, you move out of the way for the moment here. Whew. That was a lot of work. So, I have, as of now, 6 organized shoe boxes. These front-loading containers. A lot of hat collectors have out there where it's a clear box, front door, and it's a drop-down box. Originally, these are meant for shoes, but they figured out a way to use magic and put hats into these boxes. Pretty good idea. And they're clear, so you can see which hats you have. My little quirk about them, one little picking thing is if you need one hat, unless it's in the front, you have to, take out all the hats and then, grab the one hat that you want. So that's something I kind of want to look into in the future for upgrading or changing my organization and storage, really my storage system. Organizing is how I map out which hat goes. The storage part is based on the physical box here. So more often I have these boxes set primarily for 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes here are meant for off-season sports. Imagine, if you will, a world where we're in a regular August and it's not 2020 August or 2020 at all, pandemic version. I would have all my hockey hats instead in these 2 bins here. Or I would have all my basketball hats or football hats in here that are non-Chicago. All my Chicago off-season sports hats, except for the Cubs, will go in here. This one is meant for like everything else, because I'm trying to collect all of the hockey hats in the NHL, um, except for St. Louis. No, we don't have St. Louis here. So, we got the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference down here. But I might have to get different boxes because these boxes, as great as they are, they can only hold about 10 to maybe 12 hats per box. And that's if you're comfortable kind of smushing them together. Some of them, it's fine. Some of them, this one got overflowed, and I had to take a few hats out, and you'll see some of those hats when I reorganize the other 20 hats into the new boxes. So this hat box here and this one down here are kind of like grab bags. There's no set category to them, but it's just especially, well, this one is like, I know it's not like my bottom hats, but some of my least used or worn hats. Everyone has them. I'm not saying that these hats are bad. I mean, darn it, I got Winnie the Pooh on one hat. I got a custom hat in here. My custom American history hat here. My first one. I got my vote hat snapback. Like this one. This one's really cool. Anyway, so everyone has their I don't use so many times hats. So I put them in this box, and this box isn't that great anyways. Tab is really loose. This one up here is kind of a grab bag of other flat brims that I don't really use all the time, but kind of high priority. So that's how I organize my hats and categorize them. Now, like with this box here, once baseball season's over, either I'll have to flip it, because normally, these two boxes would be designated for baseball in the winter and in the summer for hockey. But of course, everything's off balance here because of the pandemic. If you haven't been joining us, welcome from underneath your rock. We're in a global pandemic right now. So, not everything will fit with each other like I would hope to in cycles. But, that's why I have other boxes, like a wider box for my Cubs hats. So, is it a perfect system? Not really. Does it need to be? I wish. As long as you know how you organize your hats and don't be like me and just leave hats everywhere around the house, you'll be fine. But that's how I organize these boxes. So, let's get into the two empty boxes here. So, I don't really know how to use magic to get rid of hats here. And I kind of know what these hats are already, so I know for one of the boxes already how I'm going to organize it. So let's do that box first. I collect, or I like to have college hats or NCAA hats. Now, to me, there's a difference when I categorize my hats in my big Excel spreadsheet. I made a video about that a while ago. I have two categories. So for this Illinois fitted, University of Illinois, Go Illini, this one would be qualified as a college hat, where I have some sort of connection to this school, whether it be through friends or family or some other connection. I marched at U of I. I almost went to U of I, actually, but realized that if I went to U of I, then I would have been like every other white boy or white kid in the suburbs, and didn't want to conform to that. Whereas this University of Hawaii hat, great hat, great emerald hat, this one would be more NCAA, where I have the hat because of the sports team, because I was the coach for the Hawaii football team in my PlayStation 3 game a long time ago. Won 2 national championships against Ohio State. Go Rainbow Warriors. So this is how I qualify as NCAA college hat. But either way, these hats would be designated into one box themselves, because I have a few of them. I gotta go through them. So we got Northwestern hat here. This is a cool one. Just a little history lesson here. This one is one of the OG tags, or one of the vintage tags. This one is a 7 5/8. This does not feel like a 7 5/8. It more fits like a 7 3/4. It's very, very wide and open. But I figured, well, it's a cool hat. Probably not gonna find a hat like this anywhere else. I paid like maybe 15, $20 for it. That's fine. University of Virginia. This one I have. Not a huge fan of this one. It's like a diving board brim, squared off, snapback. I would like a regular brim, but I have a University of Virginia hat because of the founder, Thomas Jefferson, one of my favorite dudes. Western Michigan for my trombone brother Mitchell, and in Michigan State, I know a few friends that went there. DePaul had a friend go there from the trombone section in high school. Uncle went there, and my mom is a professor now for DePaul. Boise State, because of Smurf turf. I've always wanted to march on Smurf turf when I was in high school. And Arizona, University of Arizona Wildcats National Championship Final Four patch. This was from Mr. Hats. This is another diving board brim, but it's always good to have hat diversity. So I'm going to put all of these together here and put them in the one box. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hats in here. So there's a little bit of wiggle room, like maybe for one more hat, and that's about it. A few of these were wool hats, so some of them take up a little bit more space. And also with the more outward diving board brims, with the Arizona and Virginia hat, it kind of sticks it out, so different dimensions. So just make sure you kind of note that in your head when you're doing your organization for either your boxes, your closet work, or whatever else you're doing for organization. So before we get into the rest of the hats here to organize, take a little time out here, a little pause here, and do some talking about boxes versus other methods of storage. One of the more popular ones would be duffel bags, primarily because Hat Club, being one of the number one exclusive hat makers and companies out there, they have a duffel bag out there. They have like 2 iterations. There was one that they made a while ago, and as of 2020, about July-ish, they came out with a reiteration, like 2.0 duffel bags. The one thing that I like about them is that it has a flat surface to it, whereas some of the duffel bags that I've used, hat duffel bags that I've used, it's all just loose plastic or fabric. There's nothing really concrete about it. There's nothing that is sturdy about it. So that's why I like boxes more than duffel bags. I think easier storage, especially when you're stacking everything on top of each other, because, I mean, these boxes are made to stack on each other, so, of course, if you get the same brand, same model, then that helps a lot. If you get something different, then you kind of lose continuity then. So, I would more prefer a box or some sort of container like this. Of course, like I mentioned, not the biggest fan of the down box door here, where it just opens the front-facing door. Would prefer some sort of like drawer system, like I mentioned in the last video at the container store. Just haven't found the right one yet. So I feel like I should find the right one before I put more investment into these boxes. These are $10 a piece, and it kind of adds up. I would say, no matter what you do for organization, try to do the best continuity you can. Whereas my flat brims are stored in these same shoe boxes. My curved brim hats, my dad adjustable hats, are primarily stored in the hat duffel bags I've gotten from Amazon, which are like $10, which are like all the plastic and fabric feel to it. Nothing like solid of a structure. So that's why I put the flat brims in the boxes, where the brims, it's nice to keep them flat. Some of them are low profiled, so it's easy to store like that, where it has room to breathe here, and it's also a solid flat bottom that it can be supported on, rather than being kind of a loose surface, something that's unstable with the duffel bags. Now, why do I store my extra curved brim hats in those bags? Just because of the material, based on the way they stack. It's just easier that way, and I can fit more of the dad hats and adjustable hats into a duffel bag rather than a box. I think that made sense. So, I'm not a huge fan of the Hat Club duffel bags. I mean, you can hang them vertically and store them like that, and it does have the benefit of the zipper where you can just pick out the one hat that you need. It can fit up to 30 hats, I think. As someone once said in another video on the duffel bags, it's storing your hats for $1 each. So it's I think it's a pretty good way to look at it for storage. If you break it down here, you can store about 12 hats, 10 to 12 hats, so that's about $1 per hat in these boxes. So if you can store your hats like in that kind of ratio, it's a good ratio to stick with. So those are my 2 cents about storing the hats. Well, I do primarily boxes over duffel bags for the flat brims. Of course, everyone has their own methodology. So you do what you feel is right, what you're comfortable with for your hats, what you like the most. But those are just my thoughts on it. Everyone has a different perspective. Comment down below what you use for your organization, duffel bag, box, whatever. So let's continue on with the rest of the hats here. Alright, last few hats here to go. 76ers, Ben Franklin hat. Ben Franklin, even with gout and his the foot disease, he could dunk. He could posterize Joel Embiid. He could posterize Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, even LeBron James, founding father. He can go down the lane and dunk on y'all. Cubs hat here. This one is kind of a random one that I bought from someone on eBay, and this hat turned out to be, it fits better now. This hat turned out to be some guy was like the equipment manager or like an equipment associate for the Cubs, and this like came not from any specific player, but this just came from like the Cubs locker room. So this is a really cool hat that, it's cool to have. I don't wear it too often. It would be nice if the Cubs went back to the two-tone hats for their away look. This hat, I get a lot of hat collectors asking, where'd you get that hat? How much for that hat? I'm like, I got it from another hat seller, hat collector, Atlanta Flames. I'm keeping it. I had a good video on this one. I lit the hat on fire. I'm Batman, snapback, another 76ers City Edition hat. I'm not a fan of the 76ers team, but more of the history of Philadelphia. 1776, July 4th, Independence, yada yada. Iowa Cubs from J38. Nice Cubs side patch. This one, minor league hat. I don't have too many hats, but it's a good one to have. Random. What is this? Who is this? Buffalo Sabres. That's who it is. Yeah. Sabres. The Mountain Dew hat here. I thought this was my first Hat Club hat purchase, but I looked around and thought this was my second one, actually. And Mountain Dew is one of my favorite drinks. Not sponsored. It's just a good color. A New Era 100th anniversary hat. Had to get this one. Haven't worn it really ever since, but just because of the significance of New Era being 100 years old, had to get it. And then I think, I try to make sure, I have a good hat at the front of the bin here, just to show off the bin and have a good looking hat in the front. So I figured, for this bin, we need to have a good looking hat. An ML Hats hat from Mr. ML Hats. Got that from him a few months ago. One of the other big hat guys out there on YouTube. Go find him. on YouTube. So that's my organization for today. That's how I organize these almost 20-ish hats. And it's just my few notes about organization and storage. Storage, really. Organization, I like to do it in different categories that I've told you about. Different off-season teams and different sports. Grab bag, bins, or I don't wear so often hat bin. So, however you do it, it's your collection. Every hat collection is great because it's from their own hat collector. So, however you organize your hats, it's perfect. It's great. Unless you put them either all on the floor or you have all the Cardinals hats. So, in that case, you might need to reconsider the hats that you own. Anyways, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video here. It probably went on and on, probably longer than expected. But hey, I talk a lot. That's fine. I want you to talk a little bit more in the comments down below. How do you organize your hats? Do you have any boxes? Do you have any duffel bags? Do you just throw them in a garbage bag and organize them like that? I've seen people do that before. Not great, but I've seen them do it before. If you have curved brim hats and flat brim hats, how do you organize and separate them into different, ways of display or ways of organization? Do you commingle them? Do you keep them separate? How do you do it? Let me know in the comments down below. Really would like to interact with you guys in the comment section down below and see what you guys are talking about. Otherwise, as always, hats off to you for watching. Appreciate your time. And as always, so, gonna end it here for the video then. And I think I'm out of things to say. Appreciate your time. As always, hats off to you for watching. I'll see you the next time. Class is dismissed. Bye, everyone.